Hello, I am Sean of the Lore Hunter, and I think you should be excited for the Death's Gambit DLC whether you've played the game or not. In this video, I'm going to make my case for why Death's Gambit is worth your time and why everyone should be excited for the upcoming DLC. In case you're unfamiliar, Death's Gambit is a 2D action platformer developed by White Rabbit and released in 2018. It is a modest game, but it has some very strong ideas. The boss designs are conceptually strong and mechanically creative. Examples of this include managing the balance of a platform, working around periodic waves of enemies, and even taking cover to avoid sniper fire. These all challenge you to engage with the tools at your disposal and find the best way to approach the varied challenges the bosses present. And once you've managed the basic version of the boss, there are heroic rematches for each boss that build upon the base fight in interesting ways. The gameplay has some novel and granular systems. Weapon abilities are used by spending energy, which each of the 7 classes in the game earn in different ways. Using these abilities tactically is often the key to challenging fights, and mastering a set of abilities is a joy. In addition, feathers, which are similar to Estus in Dark Souls, can be left at Death's Idols in order to increase damage. Finding the balance between healing opportunities and damage output is a really interesting decision. And the first time I threw all my feathers into damage felt like that moment in Dark Souls where you decide to strip off your gear and two-hand a greatsword to go ham on a frustrating boss. And it works. I would be remiss not to mention the story has some unexpected, genre-bending twists that did not disappoint. I will not spoil anything, but I will say that the game explores how a society of immortals would function, and it felt very lived in and thoroughly considered. And for those players who die a lot, the game offers up cutscenes after death that help to tie my own struggles to the main character Soren's story in a cool way. Also, the game has some very funny moments. All of this being said, it is not a very long game, which I personally enjoy. It is not incredibly polished and lacks some of the quality of life features of AAA titles. Also, the game did launch in kind of a buggy state, but I can vouch as a PS4 player that most of the issues have been patched out, and I ran into no issues after playing recently. So while Death's Gambit is filled with creative concepts, I wouldn't fault someone for saying that they wanted more from Death's Gambit. Well, the guys at White Rabbit, Alex and John, also want Death's Gambit to be more. They are working on a massive DLC that could easily be described as a re-release akin to the Dark Souls 2's Scholar of the First Sin. The DLC is adding a number of Metroidvania-style abilities like Double Jump, Crash Down, and Warp Bombs, and is taking talents like the Air Dash and making them an ability found in the world. The DLC will include new areas that make use of the new Metroidvania abilities, but existing areas are also getting revised to account for the new traversal systems. Some existing areas are even changing location, such as Emelvaro's Observatory, which is moving wholesale to another section of the world. In fact, the world is changing so much they've added a map to help players navigate the world. There will be new bosses and new enemies found throughout the game, and some existing bosses are getting tweaked, like the Phoenix Rider, who's moving to a new section of the game and getting buffed. There's even a couple bosses that are receiving a complete overhaul, like this good boy Cusith, who is getting a new moveset to account for the double jump. The game will feature new NPCs and new story content, including 3 new endings, which lean into some of the big story questions players had from the base game. Beyond Metroidvania abilities, the DLC also changes how you control the main character Soren. Stamina costs have been modified, a slide has been added, and a Sekiro-style perfect block and riposte have been implemented. The talent tree is growing from 1 tree to 4 that you unlock over the course of the game. The 7 character classes have been greatly expanded, each getting their own unique talent tree. Players will even be able to pick up a second class's talent tree, which unlocks a massive number of hybrid playstyles and interesting decisions for players to make. In total, over 100 talents are being added to the game. Also, over 20 weapons are being added to the game, including boss weapons and weapons players can now craft, and some of them function in very creative ways. For example, the Dark Eater Greatsword gains charges as you deal damage. Players can spend these charges to augment the Air Dash, briefly transforming Soren into the Dark Knight. There will be new gear and a revamped gear upgrade system. In the cherry on top of this DLC are new game modes, such as an item randomizer mode, cool, and a forced heroic mode, yikes. Also, you can now pet Cusith. There is no part of Death's Gambit that is left untouched by the DLC. As someone who really likes the base game, it sounds like more of what I love about the game, plus a whole bunch of new stuff that sounds incredibly cool. And it gives the players looking for more what they were hoping for and then some. If any of this sounds appealing to you, or if you're still on the fence, check out my upcoming videos featuring Death's Gambit lead designer John Canellas, where we talk about everything I mentioned above and more. So, freaking go buy Death's Gambit, or wait, it's your choice really. And if you like hearing about the development of upcoming games, subscribe to the channel, ding the bell so you can get the videos as soon as they release. Thanks for watching. Go play Death's Gambit.